Everything began with silence. Turstarkuri was a place cut off from the world. There were duties here, no questions, only order. And that order would become the collapse of a belief. Outside, screams and flames were rising. The young acolyte could not ignore them. He ran, but inside, time still moved slowly. He believed the monks would help the villagers. The truth was right before their eyes. Yet to them, it was nothing more than an illusion meant to disturb their prayers. The monks returned to their rituals, leaving the world outside. The young acolyte remained, alone, for the first time. Below, there was no escape, no mercy. Death was not an end. Death was a dark beginning. This was not a war. It was a decision of annihilation. The army grew with every life it erased, and its next target was clear. Turstarkuri. The resistance of a few monks would only buy time. The first response was given. The doctrine held for a while, but no defense lasts forever. The final measure was taken. And its cost was heavy. Everything fell silent for a very brief moment. The darkness that would begin with death was waiting. There was exhaustion. There was no hope. The monks united one last time, raising their faith like a shield. The sky did not answer. It struck. The young acolyte was a good student. He knew what to seek and what he had to reach, and he knew how little time remained. The shield collapsed. There was no time left. Death entered through the closed gates of the monastery. The monks did not move. On their silk cushions, the thing they believed in had abandoned them. The young acolyte ran, unaware it was already too late. Silence returned, but this time it was dead. The bodies joined the dark army. In that moment, everything changed. Carrying the scrolls, the young acolyte fled through the monastery garden into the dark forest. He ran, and ran, and ran. Breathless, he stopped, looked back, and never returned. Silence began again, this time to survive. The road stretched forward, but the mind did not rest. The scrolls were opened. Forbidden knowledge revealed itself. The faith that collapsed with Turstarkuri's walls had to serve a purpose. He had to understand it. Days passed. Nights grew longer. Weeks. Months. The journey of the escaped acolyte transformed him. He kept reading, and then the world changed. The mind's eye opened. Mana owed him a debt. A debt for the years spent behind closed doors, for watching lives fade from a distance. Nothing was hidden anymore. Mana traces appeared, and the hunt began. He moved with certainty now, guided not by faith, but by clarity. The search continued, stronger, sharper. A community emerged in the distance. He believed he could trust them. Without hesitation, he approached. The sages listened. They understood him and his cause. They looked into his eyes and decided. A ritual began. Shadows gathered. Silence thickened. The old identity was left behind. Not taken, but surrendered. He was accepted as a student of the Highsand Nomads. Training began. Disciplined. Months passed. One night, as the camp slept, a familiar trace appeared. The mind's eye opened again. Power gathered. Knowledge ignited. Every lesson converged. Mana was seen, measured, and seized. This time, he did not run. The anger he had carried turned into courage. Mana was cut. A void was born and consumed everything. He was no longer an acolyte waiting to become a monk. Morning came. Chests were opened. A new body. A new purpose. Protector of the Highsand Nomads. The Anti-Mage was ready. But the road was not over. Years passed. The Anti-Mage followed a mana trail. Bakwaran, a city behind cold, towering walls. Mana was calling him. The city burned. The walls could not hold. This was his first great battle. Not as an avenger, but as part of an army. The battle was lost, but a lesson was learned. Bakwaran was a threshold. Then came the kingdom of Yoskreth. Colorful, elegant, cheerful. Sask, the Prince of Darkness. He was choking the kingdom from within, ensnaring silk workers, merchants, and entire people. desperate. There was one thing Sask had not calculated. One name capable of piercing his armor. The Anti-Mage. Upon arriving, he saw the truth. And closed his eyes. Because some enemies are not seen with sight, but with will. Magic was severed. The shield broke. Sask fell. The sun rose again. The kingdom breathed. Gratitude was offered. But the Anti-Mage did not stop. Because the world was still full. One day, he found a burned caravan. Everyone was gone, except one. A small girl stood before him, fearless, alone, yet unbroken. In her gaze, the Anti-Mage saw his own past, the anger of a young acolyte whose faith had collapsed. He knelt, he spoke, and from that moment on, the road was no longer walked alone. There was a long road ahead. The Anti-Mage in front, the small girl just behind. The sun was high, the road was long, and the story had only just begun.